Today, we're going to be focusing on IdeateApps. We'll get to that in just a second. So I thought just real brief introduction about myself. My background is architecture. I've been working with Revit for over 20 years, hard to believe. And I worked at Revit Technology before Autodesk purchased it. And then I also worked at Autodesk for about 12 years as one of the product managers for Revit. You can always feel free to contact me at any of these links. You know, my email, my Twitter account, my LinkedIn, and I have a Facebook business account as well if you search for Richard Taylor Id8 Software. So, you know, happy to connect with you on those different social media platforms, and you'll see that I post quite a bit about blogs and information about Revit and Id8 Software. And I'm coming to you today from Boston, Massachusetts, just as a little tidbit. So Ideate Software is all about simplifying your Revit data challenges. We focus on Revit and sort of the whole BIM ecosystem, but really primarily on Revit. And like I said, we create these 5 solutions for Revit. And I wanted to highlight that we have a blog fairly recently that one of our customers did about the time savings and their return on investment for IdeateApps. So if I click on that link, you can actually see it's right here. So if you just search for this, you know, if you say, go to Google and just say time savings, blog, Ideate Software, you'll see this. And what I thought is really nice is they actually go through each of the applications that I'm going to talk about today. And they talk about how much time that they saved. I know that's kind of hard to read, so let me just increase that a little bit, the resolution, or I should say the zoom factor. So you can see how much they've actually saved on each one of these apps and, you know, who uses it within their company. So just really nice kind of as a precursor to what we're going to be talking about today. So that's on that, on our website. So also Ideate Software, we're known for our outstanding support. We are delivering our applications and supporting them on the last 4 releases. And that's really what we mean by they're being updated on the last 4 releases of Revit. So Revit 2018 through Revit 2021. We do have earlier versions, but the latest versions of our software, the most current updates are on the 4 last releases of Revit. So everything you see today, even though I might be showing Revit 2021, is going to be the same for Revit 2018, 19, or 20. So it's really important to know that we work with all of those different Revit versions. And then we create a substantial amount of content for getting started. So we just don't you know, deliver our applications and say, hey, you're on your own. We're giving you sort of definitions, rule definitions. I'm going to talk about in a second here, content and sample content to really get you started. And then we do comprehensive testing with large projects all around the world. And we're really into you know, reviewing information in the framework of how our customers are using it, such as BIM 360. Especially in this new world order where everyone's practically working at home, BIM 360 has really become the platform that a lot of customers are using for collaboration. And so we want to make sure that our solutions are also working with those very well and seamless to how our customers are working. So that's a little introduction about Ideate Software and our support offerings. But really today, we are here to talk about IdeateApps. And IdeateApps is a single application, right? It's a little bit confusing because we do make 5 different applications, but this one called IdeateApps, when you install it, you're actually installing 9 tools. So this collection, if you will, is a series of tools that increases the productivity and efficiency for any Revit user within your organization. So it's really designed to be whether you're a brand new Revit user or you've been working with Revit for 20 years. They're going to be able, these applications are going to be able to improve your efficiency. And so you see there on the screen, we're going to talk about kind of going from left to right, the Ideate Renumber, the Quick Select, Smart Delete, X-Ray, Spell Check, and then in the blue is a series of sheet and view manipulation tools, allowing you to create new sheets, align viewports on sheets, duplicate sheets, and actually create all kinds of new views. So I'm going to basically talk about the first 5 applications, the ones that are in orange first. I'm gonna take a little break, and then maybe we can ask some questions or answer some questions. And then I'll talk about the next 4, which are really kind of grouped around the view and sheet management. So the first application is called Ideate Renumber. And Ideate Renumber allows you to renumber almost any element within Revit. And the cool thing about this is we're giving you the rules and we're giving you the ability to change things sort of on the fly. So basically you can create your own rules. You might want to renumber rooms or renumber doors or electrical fixtures or HVAC equipment. So you can build the rule that you need for that particular item. And it's very flexible and very powerful. And so we ship with about 70 rules. This is where I was talking about we ship with content, and then you can modify those to meet your own particular needs. So, and our next piece of the collection is called Id8 Quick Select, which allows you to select any element within the Revit model. So it's really a model browser as opposed to the project browser. It's showing every single instance of every element and allowing you to quickly select items, even those that might be difficult to find or hidden in a particular view. And then with our Ideate Smart Delete, it allows you to understand the liability of deleting an element in Revit, because Revit doesn't always tell you what's going to get deleted. If you select on a wall, it says, okay, I'm going to delete the wall. But you may not realize that you're going to be deleting keynote tags, dimensions, doors, windows, window tags. There's a lot of other stuff that could get deleted as well. And so it's going to tell you all of those dependencies, and then you can make the decision whether you want to delete that or not, or review the information. And then our Ideate spell check, it really is a robust spell check engine for your entire Revit project. So you may ask, well, gee, Richard, why should I use Ideate spell check? Because Revit already has a spell check. But the Revit spell check built-in engine is very limited in its functionality. It can only do like one sheet or one view, and it's only checking the sort of the annotation text on that sheet. With the Ideate software spell check, it's checking all, you can do all open sheets and views, you can do all schedules, so it's checking the schedule text, it's going to give you a report, and you're going to see when I do my little demonstration that it's much more robust than the Revit spell check engine. And then finally on this first series of tools is our Ideate X-Ray. And X-Ray is a great asset to any organization. It allows you to understand why an element in Revit is not visible. So you may place something and you get a warning and it says, hey, I can't see this. Why? Well, is the work set hidden? Is it hidden by element? Is it a view filter? Is it outside the view range? We've actually come up with over 50 different ways an element can be hidden within Revit. And so Ideate X-Ray is going to help you understand why that element is not displaying. So enough talking, but I did want to introduce those 4 initial tools in our collection. What I'm going to do is switch over here to Revit. And as I said, I'm using Revit 2021 today just in my my demonstration. But the same functionality is available on 2018, 19, 20, and 21. In fact, I just saw yesterday that Autodesk released a new point release for Revit 2021, 2021.1. I have not loaded that yet because I thought it was not good to load new software before a presentation. So that's always the presentation laws. You should make sure that you're not installing new software right beforehand. So you can see here, when I go to Ideate Software, I have this tab that has all the tools. And over here to the left, just so you notice, there are the other tools that Ideate Software creates: BIMlink, Explorer, Sticky, and Style Manager. But again, today we're going to be focusing on these tools for IdeateApps. So let's come over here and say, zoom up a little bit and say, my task at hand is maybe to renumber some of these rooms and also renumber the doors based on the new room assignments, right? So I start renumber here, and it's going to read the rules that I have set from a particular directory. In fact, you'll see here, all the rules that are saved in this particular project. And so the settings basically, it says rules will import from this location if there are no rules in the Revit project. So that can be set to a shared drive. It can be set to BIM 360 via the desktop connector. So that could be in a central location that everyone's reading the same rules. So what we're going to do here is we're going to pick the door rule here that's already configured. And I'm going to show you in a minute how you can actually configure these rules very easily. And there are different methods. You know, you can just pick elements. That's the easiest thing. If I just say start numbering, right? I'm going to come over here and say, you know, pick the door. There's 106, you know, there's 100, whatever. That it's numbering based on the room information. Or I may want to switch the rule to rooms, and I'm going to change these to like 500, let's say. And what I want to do is, let's say, oh, yeah, I'll just say, I want to create new path and select path by crossing and start numbering. And so in that case, let's say that I want to zoom out a little bit here, and I'm going to draw a path. So I'm going to start in this, let's say the vestibule here, and I'm going to go over to the themed classroom and just draw this line. And there's nothing special about this line. I hate to say that. I don't want to make the line feel bad, but it is just a 2D detail line that we've called Ideate Path, as you see here at the top. And so when I end that command, or basically say, okay, I'm done drawing the line, now any room that crosses through that line is going to get renumbered. And you see it gives me a nice preview here. The original value started with 100, now it's 500, and so forth. And so what I can do is like this, maybe the corridor, for some reason, I wanted to skip right over that. I can just say that element is ignored. And I can reverse the direction and go the other way, so left to right or right to left. But in this case, I'll keep that and I'll just say accept the changes. So it updated all those rooms. In fact, let's come over here just to show you that there's 500, there's 501, 502, 503, and so forth. All right, let's go back to renumber. And now we want to update the doors based on those room assignments, right? So I'm going to switch the rule over here to doors. And here I'm going to specify that, okay, I can select the elements as you saw me doing. I can do a crossing, but I can also do it by view. Just saying all the doors, since the door information is based on the room information, I can look at it by the view and say start numbering. And so what it comes up with this, so again, this little preview dialog, and it by default, it has the from room value, but I can always change that to the to room value. So in this case, if I'm using this little cog here, I'm updating that value. So I'm actually changing it in the database. I'm changing the from room to a to room condition, right? Or I can just report on the other data. So what this means is just saying, I'm not changing it in the database, but just report on the opposite value. So you can do two things. You can change where it's, basically where it's swinging from to, or you can just report on the other value. And then again, any one of these, if I don't like it, I could take this one and ignore the element and it just skips right over it. So if I like all these, I can accept the changes, right? And so now all of those doors, this was room 502, this is door 502. Let's do one that has a couple different ones. There's 504C, 504B, 504A. So you can see the tags a little bit easier there as it incremented that around. Now, if I go back to our rules, I just kind of wanted to show you a little bit of the secret sauce behind this. And again, these are completely customizable. So we're going to keep this door rule, right? And I'm going to go over here and just edit it. So I say edit. And here's where the formula comes in. So it says we're pushing this to the mark, right? And so you can actually push it to any text-based parameter, even if it's a shared parameter or project parameter. But typically you want it in the tag, so therefore you're pushing it to the mark parameter. And so it's reading the room number and then it's incrementing it by A, B, C, D, whatever. So I want to add another field here, and this field is going to be the type, let's say, and I want it to be the assembly. That would be A, assembly description. or an assembly code, either one. Let's do assembly code. So I'm going to do AC. And so this is just this name, just is like it's what it appears in the formula. So now I basically said, all right, I want to remove that. And this one, I want the field, oops, in this case, this A, let's remove that as well. I want to have an increment. And I want to start with 1. And I'm just going to call this value. And you can see that I can start with 1. I can actually have it, be increment per room or per family. I can have it the size. So if I wanted to have it even or odd, I could do that. I'm just going to make it very simple, right? So I'm basically saying the value is going to be, in this case, let's move this over. So it's going to be 1 and then the assembly code. And I say save and close. OK. And now I'm going to select the elements. And just to show you that you can now number that with the assembly code, and this was the other door here, and this was the other door here. And so that's what that assembly code value is. Here, let's do one that makes a little bit more sense there. You can start to see that I'm now having other information. So I just wanted to show you that you can very easily customize that to whatever you'd like the rule to be. And like I said, if you come over here to access more rules, you can see that I can go over here and say import, and look at all the rules that we supply. Lighting, MC stands for multi-category, MEP rules, space rules, structural rules, all kinds of stuff. So just it's another nice tip to know where all those things are. So again, Ideate, renumber, very flexible. So let's bring up another view over here, and I have a detail view. So, oops, I don't want to renumber that or rename that. So here's what I was talking about with Ideate Smart Delete. So if I select on the floor, right, this is a model element. I'm just going to come over here to the Revit delete and select delete. And the floor goes away, right? Now, there was no warnings, no issues, and I can go on my merry way and be very happy. But in fact, if I undo that with a Control Z, and then go back to Ideate Software and now select my Smart Delete, it's going to tell me, hey, Richard, you've got some edit cut profile regions, you've got dimensions, and in fact, if I double click, I can open up the view where those dimensions, you'll see in the background there, the views are opening up where the different dimensions are for that floor that are going to get deleted. And that kind of makes sense, right? Dimensions and cut regions. But this element, this happens to be a element keynote tag. Well, I didn't realize that the keynote tag was set to the floor. And so this projection screen element keynote tag is going to get deleted. Oh, okay, because a keynote has to be attached to something. And so someone attached it to the floor. And this is really important for me to know and understand. Now I can go ahead and delete, or I can decide that I need to fix that and maybe reassign that element keynote to something else. I have a number of decisions here, but again, this is giving me the information that I might need for deciding is important to delete that item. And then speaking of items, you've got all kinds of elements in this Revit model, right? There are thousands of elements. How do I even figure out what I have? The project browser over here to the left, or I'm sorry, to the left, to your left, my right, it's going to show you things like families, but that doesn't necessarily mean that all of these, as an example, these furniture systems, all these cabinets and desks and tables, it doesn't mean they're actually in the model. It just means they're available in my template or my project, right? So that's where Id8 Quick Select comes in. It is a model browser. It's showing me every single element within the Revit project. And so what I'm going to do is look at the active view. I'm going to say, okay, what items are in this view? There are 885 elements in this view. But if I want to look at the entire project, I can do that as well. And there are 36,000 elements. And this is organized by category, family, and type. So let's say I was looking for a particular door. I can expand on the 59 doors that I have, and I can go over here to this wood door. I have one instance of it. That's why it always has a nice number, how many instances. Like the single one up at the top here, I have 29 instances. So I can double click to open up that view that's showing that door, and then single click basically to select it. And then once I select it, I have the ability to look at properties. I might say, well, I didn't want that to be a wood door. I wanted that to be a single 36 by 84 half glass door instead. And so I can do a swap with that information. And then it's showing me all kinds of things that just the project browser doesn't show. A really important one is Cad Imports, Cad Imports or Cad links. So I'm coming over here. I realize that I have quite a few. I have 173 Cad files. I'm going to expand on this. And the first one, the first Cad file is door details, and it's linked into a drafting view called door details. Looks great. Why are there two of them? If I double click, it says, oh, well, this element is hidden. Would you like to temporarily, open up the view and turn on reveal hidden elements? And I would. And so when that view opens up here in a second, it tells me it's the first floor building code. So having the doors on this first floor building code doesn't seem like that's correct, right? So now I can highlight on that AutoCAD file, delete it, right? And so now when I go over to my Cad imports and I look at the door details, I don't have that instance of it anymore. So I've successfully cleaned it out of my project. So it's really important to know and understand all of those things that Revit's just not showing you. Cad imports, there's schedule graphics. You'll see here as I scroll through all kinds of different things, revision clouds, revision tags. So it's just really important to be able to find that. And then I can also type things like if I want to look for concrete, and it shows me floors, viewports, views. If I have a view on a sheet here. And so there's this, double click, it's opening up that sheet, which is sill detail and slab concrete walk. So again, really nice tool to be able to understand and find elements and select elements in your Revit model. So that was Id8 Quick Select. So we've covered renumber, smart delete, quick select. Now I'm going to jump over and do spell check. So we're going to click on spell check here. And this comes up with, again, different kind of methods. Well, do you want to work and do all open sheets and views? Do you want to do the sheet list or all schedules? And so for my example today, I'm just going to do schedules. And I'm going to say spell check the schedules that I have. And so it's going to go through and it's using the dictionary that we've defined in Revit, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. And so RFI, request for information, that's going to come up quite a bit, right? So I might want to add that to my custom dictionary because I feel like that's something like this abbreviation. I might want to add that as well. Furniture, fixture, equipment, that looks good. Oh, this is schedule. Okay, I need to change that. But over here, there's a warning. If you're familiar with our Ideate sticky solution, it's allowing you to link information in from Excel, Word, or PDF. And so this is telling me that this was linked in from a sticky schedule in Excel, but it's wrong. It was misspelled. And so it will change it, but it's giving you that warning that if you do update the link, we're not changing it in the Excel file, we're just changing it in the project. So really, you should go to the Excel file and make that change there. So I'm going to go ahead and say change. And then again, I can continue adding to the dictionary. And if I want to stop it at any time, I'm going to select stop, and then I can do a report. And so we're going to do a report. Here's the spell check report. And it's really nice because it basically tells me like how many words were modified, 1, number of words that were added, 4, number of warnings that were 2. So this tells me all these words that were added to the custom dictionary, RFI, ARDG, FFE, HQ, and so forth. So really, really nice. And if you don't believe me, let's go over here to the file and go to our options and go to check spelling. And so here are the custom dictionary as well as the default dictionary that you set. And so if we come over here and say edit the custom dictionary, you will see that now we have RFI, ARDG, FFE, and HQ that I just added for that custom dictionary. And in fact, Revit by default has these languages, British, French, German, Italian, Spanish. We're actually adding to the number of languages that are being checked as well. So that's another really nice item about the Ideate software spell check is we're doing about 6 additional languages for being able to spell check. All right, so that's spell check. The last but not least is called Id8 X-Ray. And in fact, I've got a file here that I believe I'm going to highlight on that. Let's make sure I get when I go over to my views and switch my windows, I have here that more open views, because I do have quite a few. And I want to make sure that, oh, here it is, hide and seek. That's what I've called this file, because this particular document, I've set up a whole series of view visibility problems that Ideate X-Ray can help me out with. Okay, so the first one is pretty simple, but I like to start with something simple. So let's come over here to the project browser. Let's come over to our families, and we're going to come down here to furniture, and that starts with an F, right? And let's say we want to have a chair, right? So I'm going to take this chair stacking. We're going to come over here, and we're going to place it. And how many of you have seen this? I placed the elements, but it's not visible. So it just says, hey, you might want to check because for some reason there's it's not displaying. So now we come over to X-Ray, and it comes up with this nice little selection wizard, and it says, well, Richard, what are you looking for? A 3D element, a 2D annotative element, or a level or grid? In this case, a chair is a 3D element, so I'm going to search the area here, a small area for that chair. And it comes up with furniture. There's the chair stacking. It says next. And I can say find it. Tell me why that chair was not displayed. And it's pretty simple. It says, hey, it's hidden by category. Now, I should be able to fix it. But unfortunately, by just turning the category on, it's even more intelligent than that. There's this but in capital letters, meaning that you can't just turn on, like I'm going to go and select VV here. For view visibility, and you'll notice that they're all grayed out because they're being driven by the view template. In fact, it's actually telling me the view template is being controlled Ideate plan. So over here in the floor plan, I realized that, oh, Ideate plan is not the view template that I wanted. I really wanted to have our architectural plan instead. So let's say okay, and we're going to select that. And once I select that template does have furniture on. So then it's like, oh, that's great. It's able to be displayed. And you'll notice that I'm able to work in Revit while this the dialog is up, so I can review items very easily. So let's say I'm going to done on that, and we're going to come over here now to another example. So let's go to our views and come over here to this one. And why isn't this plumbing fixture visible, right? It should be, if I turn on, I'm going to come over here to my reveal hidden elements. Doesn't show me anything, because reveal hidden elements will only tell you things that have been turned off by the category or right click that they've been hidden in the view. So it doesn't really tell me much. So here's where I'm going to come over to Ideate X-Ray again. And I'm going to search for a small area again, select by crossing, and I'll do that. And I'll come down here, and there is a plumbing deluxe toilet that I'm looking for. And I say, find the element. And lo and behold, not only is there one, not only is there two, but there are 3 problems with this particular element. The work set's not open. It's been hidden by the category, and someone hid it by element, right-click element. So I need to go through sort of then fix all of these. So when hidden by element, fix just basically says, okay, I'm going to do the fix only. That now has been removed. Hidden by category, meaning that I'm now going to turn that category on. And then finally, this one, I need to show me, select the show me, which is going to go and look at the work set dialog and say, oh, well, here's what you need to do. You need to open that particular work set. And then sure enough, when I do all of that, now the toilets display. So this, if I'm not familiar with work sets not open, if I select on more info, it's going to give me the help menu that talks about, well, what does it mean if the work set's not open? How would you review this? The same way with, I'll just say hidden by element. It says, oh, well, you hide in view, override graphics in view, that's what you did. So it's giving you lots of information in our help system, telling you more detail than it would even tell you within the Revit help system. So again, that's a nice example because it shows you that there can be 3 different ways that you hide elements. So, you can go through and look at annotative elements. Let me do one more since I haven't done an annotative element one. In this case, we're looking for some dimensions. So let's go over to our X-ray. And we're going to look for this time a little bit different. Both other times I was looking for the 3D, but this time I'm looking for an annotative element in the target view. So I'm going to say select by crossing, and there are some dimensions. And if I say next and find the element, now it should come up and it says, oh, the annotation crop. Again, if I don't know what an annotation crop is, I can figure this information out or review it. I can identify on it, or I can just say fix, which is going to turn the annotation crop off for this particular view. And now those dimensions display. So really nice tool for allowing you to understand why something's not visible in a Revit project. So before I move on to the next set of sheet and view tools, I just want to pause here and ask Katana if there are any questions that have come up, that burning questions that I can answer. I'm sorry, Katana, I didn't mean to put you on the spot there.
Sorry, I did that thing where I was just chatting on mute, every webinar has to have that. Okay, first, will it be possible just to add all the abbreviations to the customer directory since it's a text file?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that is a text file for this Ideate spell check, and you can go in and add anything as your custom dictionary for that text file. Yes.
Towards the beginning of the presentation, a question was asked, so if the line doesn't touch a room, it doesn't update the room number?
That is correct. So there are several methods that I mentioned here, right? And so the crossing means that all it has to do is cross within the boundary of the room. The vertex method means that the point that I select, it is now has to be inside the room. So I'm actually having to click each room if I want to have the vertex. So as an example, I mean, basically the little just diagrams here that are green kind of explain it. That if you're just crossing through, let's say 7 items, it's, as you see here, it's going to select these first 3. This one is, as I click on items, that it needs to have, actually my vertex needs to be within that item. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah. And you touched on this. Can the line be updated, or do you have to start from scratch?
Oh, absolutely, the line can be updated. It's very intelligent, so that you can, if I go over here to my drawing, and let's see if I have, again, so many different windows. Let's go down to not hide and seek, but already my floor plan here, and just real quickly come back up here to room and door. Okay, so there is my line, right? And so I can actually say, oh, right here, do create similar, and I can continue drawing. I'm just drawing in Revit, right? And doing items. So I'm gonna kind of come over to these items now. Now, if I come back to Ideate Software, renumber, and I want to look at, let's say, the rooms, right? I'm gonna switch that to rooms again, and I'll do like, I don't know, 600 this time, and say start number. You notice that I can just pick, oops, got to pick path, that's why. Select path. There we go. And so now you'll see that it just picked up on that, as long as the lines are connected, right? And so it started with this, in this case, what was it, the viewing area there, I guess. And you can see that I can reverse that. So what was that? Guess it started in the mechanical area here, whatever this room is. So yeah, very easy to update that information.
Thank you, Richard. We had quite a few questions come in about whether or not this is being recorded. It was, and it will be posted to our resource center, and we'll be sure to send you all a copy. And that's all the questions we have, Richard. Thank you.
Okay, great. No, I just realized, oh, the viewing area was on the other end of the line there. That's what I wasn't, and mechanical was on this side. So again, you can reverse the direction back and forth. Okay, so let's look at the other 4 applications that are all around sheet and views. So we have Ideate Sheet Manager, which allows you to easily create new sheets and manipulate the views by dragging and dropping them from the views on the left-hand side to the sheets on the right-hand side. And there are a number of tools within Ideate Sheet Manager allowing you to just be able to lay out the viewports much easier. And I like to describe it as sort of the central traffic cop, if you will, of all the other tools, because all of the other sheet and view tools are accessible through the Ideate Sheet Manager. So you can go to View Creator, you can go to Clone, you can go to Align, all from the Sheet Manager itself. And then speaking of Align, it allows you to align multiple viewports on a sheet and keep those. So if you have, let's say, first floor HVAC, and you want the second floor HVAC, third floor HVAC, all to be complete alignment across your sheets, it's very easy to do. And so we're aligning viewports based on the Revit coordinates for plans. If it's a section, elevation, or schedule, we're aligning it based on the upper left crop region. And then Revit does not allow you to duplicate a sheet. There's just no tool allowing you to copy a sheet. But we're allowing you to copy a sheet with our Id8 Clone, but also giving you access to the viewports on that sheet. And you can decide if you want to duplicate or duplicate with detailing or swap one viewport to another. So I'll show that in just a second. And then finally, our Ideate View Creator allows you to create new views with a series of parameters or properties. So instead of copying views and then going back and saying, oh, I want different phases, I want different design options, I want different view templates applied, you can set all that up beforehand and then just have it go create 100 views with all of the necessary properties that you like or that you need. So let's take a look at those tools together. So here, I am going to go back to my view and switch my windows. And let's see, I've got more open views. I'm going to go to this one here called Sheet Manager, because I've just got some things set up here that nicely. So this is a sheet, right? I mean, simple. It's got plan, it's got an elevation view, some schedule views, some note views on it, and so forth. So I'm going to come over to Ideate Software, and I'm going to go to my Sheet Manager. And so this, once I select that, this dialog comes up, and you see all of the views on the left and all the sheets on the right. So the one that I'm highlighting here is this Z.7 finishes, and you see that there's the showing you the viewports that are assigned to that Z.7 finishes. So right from here, I want to create a new sheet, and I'll just say, you know, just give it the defaults, but you can always pick a placeholder sheet or whatever. And then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to rename it so it appears in my list. I'm going to call this Z.1, and this is going to be my coordination view. So I'm going to go here and, oops, type in correctly, coordination, and say OK. All right, and the reason I like that, I did that is just you'll see it pop up here because it's looking at it, you know, alphanumerically. So Z.1 coordination has no views applied to it. So I'm going to come over to my floor plans, and these are my floor plans. You'll see that down below there's this little tick mark, hide placed views. So it's not showing me views that have already been placed. It's only showing me those views that have not yet been placed. So since this is the coordination, I'm going to say, you know what, I want this view here over to my coordination plan. So I'll click, drag, and drop that over. And then I also want to maybe add a schedule to it. So we'll come over here and we'll just do this room type schedule. Again, click, drag, and drop that over. And you can move viewports around from one sheet to another. So remember, there's this Z.7, that's our sheet right there. And so there's Z.7. And so on Z.7, there's this elevation here. I would like that elevation to be on the Z.1 now. So I'm going to take this signage elevation. I'm just going to click, drag it over to coordination. So when I do that, you'll see that it actually removes from this sheet and now places it over on the coordination sheet, because a view can only exist on one sheet at a time unless it's a schedule or a legend view. So now when I double click and I look at this coordination, right, things have been placed along the top because it didn't necessarily know exactly where I wanted those viewports. So now I can say, well, you know what, I want the plan in the upper left region. I would like the schedule maybe down here. And I want this elevation maybe at this location here. So now if I fit the sheet, I have that information. So I've arranged this the way that I want, but I would like to duplicate the sheet, right? And so I'm on the Z.1 coordination. If I come over here to sheets, let's scroll down here a little bit. You'll notice I'm on Z.1 coordination. If I right click, duplicate, you can just, it's not available. You can't duplicate with detailing, with as a dependent, because Revit doesn't have that option. But we've introduced our Ideate Clone. So what I'd like to do is take this coordination sheet and I'd like to clone it. And so it says, well, you're going to use, here's the new sheet, right? There's the existing sheet. It's Z.2. The new name is now going to be structural. So let's just call it structural. Structural, make sure I spell that right, or at least a semblance of that's right. Now the viewports, where do you want the viewports? Like you could actually duplicate it, right? Or duplicate it with detailing, or you can swap one to another. So I already have the structural. So I'm going to swap the first floor west coordination with first floor west structural. The signage elevation, I have a different building elevation. So it's not an interior. It's going to come over here. If I go down here in my elevations, and we've got west elevation for structure. And then for schedule, again, schedules and legends can actually be on multiple sheets. So current means it's going to just keep the room type schedule. But what I have here is, since this is a structural sheet, I've got a minimum compression strength schedule that I want to be shown on this. So notice that I've got my existing sheet at the top here. I've got a new sheet name, and I'm basically controlling how I want those viewports. If I'm duplicating viewports, then when I'm duplicating it, I've got some view naming that I can use for copying those viewports. But in this case, I'm just swapping. All these are swapping one from another, so I'm not using this view rules at all. So now when I select clone, it's now going to create that new sheet with the same title block, right? And it's going to then make sure that all the information is in the same location. So you see there, it's kind of processing this in the background and creating that structural sheet there for that view. So let me just make sure I switch. There we go. I'm going to say done. And notice that now in this view, I've got my structural plan. I've got this concrete compressive strength schedule. So it based on the upper left-hand crop region is how it aligned that. And now I've got this structural section instead of the other section. So here was my Z.1 coordination, and here was my Z.2 structural that are kind of hard to see there when I don't fit that. But when they're fit, you can see, oops, too many different views here. That's not what I wanted. No, I don't want to save. So now the easiest thing is to go to my switch windows here. When this comes back, view, switch windows, and you can see that I have, see more open views. Oh, it was right at the top there. You see I've got Z.1 coordination and Z.1 structural. So if I go to coordination, you can see now I've got that. Like I said, that's what I started with. And then the Z.2 was the structural. All right, so that's being able to clone the sheet very easily. But what if you wanted to create new views, right? So that's where we come over here and we select our Ideate View Creator. So under the View Creator, it gives you the ability to select some existing views and be able to duplicate them with different methods. So you can actually say, well, I've got, let's say 15 new levels, and I want to create new plans to them. Or I can apply dependents, or in my example, I'm going to use the duplicate views. So if I say duplicate views, it says, well, which views do you want to start with, right? So I'm going to select just the ceiling plans. I've got the coordination, I've got this level 9. I'm not going to worry, I'll do just these 3 and say next. So based on the rule that I'm going to select, and again, these are the rules that we provide, and there are many more available, like if I go and again, load rules that are available for specifying different levels or different disciplines. But in this case, my task at hand is to build some new views with a different phase. So I'm going to say duplicate phase. And so you'll notice that I can choose the phase to be office renovation. I can choose the prefix or suffix. In this case, I might just want to say office. And then that's going to then put the view with the office name and append that. But let's say I didn't want to put these name overrides. I wanted it to come directly from the data within Revit. So I'm going to change this rule. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to edit it. And very similar to what you saw when I was doing the rules for renumber, notice that we have this constant here. I'm going to remove that. And instead of a constant, I'm going to add a field, which is going to be the phase name. So let's come down over here to all these different properties. Phase name. And it now kind of takes that, you'll see it says west, and then it has down below new construction. I really want to add a constant between that, which is a dash. And I'll just put the dash between the name and the phase name. So now I'm just, again, moving this information around. You can see over here to the right, other properties. I've got the phase and the phase filter, but there are other, like I could do view type parameters or view template, assign a particular view template if I choose. But right now, I'm just going to say save and close. Say OK. And what this does now is watch when I change it to new construction, the name automatically changes new construction. If I change it to office renovation, it automatically changes to office renovation. So we're building a rule based on intelligent parameters. And then the phase filter itself, well, do we want previous and new? And then maybe I also want this view to have a RT, my initials at the beginning as an example. So, very simple, but I'm just creating 3 new views that are going to have this office renovation phase set. It's going to show previous and new, and then the name is based on this prefix as well as the phase that I just set. So when I say create 3 views, it says completed, done, and now I'm going to come back over to my project browser, up to my ceiling plans, and there are the 3 views that are created. There's the coordination plan, office renovation, and you'll notice that now it has show previous and new. The phase is set to office renovation. So any particular view properties that I wanted to include, I could very easily include by using View Creator. So again, all of these work very nicely together. And again, you'll notice I just wanted to point out here when I bring up Sheet Manager, I can access the tools. I can say, I want to do View Creator here. I can do Create New. I can do the clone. I can do an alignment, all from this particular dialog. Also, since I did create those 3 new views, I can go over here and say Shift, right click, and I can create sheets for those new views based on an existing sheet. So maybe if I wanted to say that Z1 coordination, right? And I wanted to have that schedule, that room type schedule on every single sheet, I could say create. And so it's now going to go through and create 3 new sheets for those 3 views that I just created, right? That has that information. So I'm just going to say, in this case, I can edit the sheet names, Z3, 4, 5, that's fine. But if I wanted to change that, I could. And let's come back over here then to, probably the easiest thing is to come down here to this one and just say, there is my new plan. But at the same time, it also had this schedule, which I decided that I wanted the schedule to be in that location. So very nice being able to access all that information from the Ideate Sheet Manager. So again, I just wanted to highlight that we have great support. There's lots of videos available on our Ideate Software website. I'm going to switch to that real quickly. You saw that I was showing you the blog, but if I come back over here as an example, and I'm going to go back, show down to 100% here. And if you were interested in, let's say, the video library for IdeateApps, you can click on the video library, IdeateApps, and it's going to show you all of the, how would you use X-Ray? How would you batch rename views and sheets using Ideate the Sheet Manager? So there's little workflow videos here, which I think are really nice. And usually they're only about 5 or 10 minutes to highlight a particular workflow within our Ideate apps. So with that, I want to just mention that you can find all the Ideate software solutions at ideatesoftware.com. You can find more information on the Imaginate Technologies website, and I'd like to switch it back to Tony for any wrap up or any questions that there may be.
I actually have a couple of questions.
Oh, yeah.
Back to renumber, can renumber a specialty equipment family signage if we have a room calculation point parameter and set it by view just like doors?
So it will use the room calculation point. In that particular case, I'd have to look at that, how that was set up, the family, but I'm going to say the answer should be yes, because again, if you're using the doors and you're doing the room calculation point, that's where it's getting the from room and to room. And if you're switching the from room and to room, it will actually flip the door swing if the family has been created that way using that room calculation point.
Okay. What happens if you divide one of the rooms into a smaller one? Will the numbering of the room take in consideration the new room?
That's a great question. So it's not dynamic, meaning that as you're modifying the room situations, it's not like updating it. So what you'd have to do is if that line crosses the rooms, which let's say you split it, as you said, and you divide one room into 2, then you would just click on the line again and renumber it, right? So then at that point, it's renumbering it based on that new room that exists that was 1 room, now it's 2 rooms, and it'll just redo the sequence. So that's why it's nice to keep that line, and you might want to hide it or put it on a category that you can easily turn off, because then you can just turn on that line that you used to renumber, and then you could do it, click on it as many times as you want. And so if you went from 1 room to 50 rooms, it would just then recalculate all of those.
Okay. If the crop region for a structural view was not the same as the floor plan view, would it still be placed in the same location on the new sheet, or would it have found the center of the floor plan and the center of the structural view, and that's how the view is placed?
Yeah, so it's still based on even though it's a different scale or a different crop region, it will still look at the model coordinates. So it may not be in the exact region that you want on the sheet, because as you said, your floor or your structural plan might have a different crop region than or even scale than your your architectural floor plan that you maybe used to start it. So that is, we're always using the model coordinates when it's coming to plan views. And then, like I said, if it's not a non-plan view, then it's using the upper left crop region. So we're not doing the centroid of the viewport, I don't think, for any of our alignment methods.
Okay. Also, can the Ideate Renumber app be used to renumber the curtain panels?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, we have a video on that that's on our website. I know specifically. So I would encourage you to go, and there is like advanced usage of Ideate Renumber, and there is an example of curtain panels where you can actually specify that you want to skip like the spandrels, like the solid panels. And so say, well, you know what, if I encounter this particular curtain panel, don't renumber it. Only renumber the glass panels as an example. So it is very sophisticated in how you can set this up.
And then the last question before we pass things to Tony is, where can I download the trial? So I'm going to put that link in here to answer the question, but if you could show on the website, Richard, that would be great.
Absolutely. So there's a big button here when you go to Ideate Software, and it says free trial, and you click on the free trial, and then you can actually download a bundle. So that will do all 5 of our Ideate software solutions. But if you're interested in just like, let's say you just wanted to look at IdeateApps, then you could go to IdeateApps, you could click download here, and there is one single install. And that install, when you click on the exe file to open it, it will come up with a little dialogue, and it'll say, well, which versions do you want? Do you want 2018, 19, 20, 21, or all of them? So you can choose at the time of install which Revit versions you want, but it's only one install, which is nice. And then from there, you would, once you start the program, it asks you to register, and it's a 14-day trial. So for IdeateApps, it's full function. We don't restrict any of the functionality of everything you saw today for 14 days.
All right, that's all the questions. And so I'm going to pass it over to Tony.
All right, I'm going to make Tony the presenter.
Very good. Thank you, Richard. That was very well done. And IdeateApps, it's a great productivity tool for Revit users. We appreciate everybody's time today. And as Katana mentioned, it is recorded. So feel free to come back and share it with your coworkers. And thank you very much for attending.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. Really appreciate the time. And I hope you go to both the Imaginate Technologies website and Ideate Software to learn more.